A cold start to this lovely Tuesday.
We'll feel warm considering where we're headed.
Tomorrow, man, when that's the pretense, all we can say is welcome. Thank you for joining us for KARE 11 News at noon. Overnight, a suspect was charged with the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. We've been following this for you, but today we know more about who he is. And Cece, I know the arrest comes with a lot of new information.
Yeah, so much new information. I have more on what police say they noticed when they arrested him just before our show yesterday, plus a look at what they're still working to learn.
Okay, and also those temperatures going to begin dropping today. Ben has all the details ahead of a KARE 11 weather impact alert day tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Temperatures are going to be chilly tomorrow, and because of that, we have issued a KARE 11 weather impact alert. It starts about mid-morning tomorrow. That's when that Arctic front is going to move through. It'll last all day. Frigid wind chill is the main impact. If you are going to be spending any time outside, extended time frame, you are going to want to dress in layers and make sure you are covering that exposed skin. Here's more on the timeline for tomorrow. Temperatures starting off in the teens. Notice that wind, however, northwest sustained winds between 10 and 20 miles per hour. As temperatures drop into the single digits, that means the wind chill most of tomorrow will be between 10 below and 20 below, which is why we've issued the alert. In the short term, we are seeing some very light snow showers passing through the Twin Cities. We have one little small band that stretches from the St. Anthony Village area down to the Inver Grove Heights area, where most of us are just seeing flurries today, but we do expect some light snow to move back into the area later tonight before tomorrow morning's commute. Temperatures right now, 23 degrees. Temperatures are pretty consistent across the board, and you can certainly tell where the colder air is over the Canadian prairies. That's the air mass that's going to be moving overhead tomorrow, and the temperatures bottom out as we head into Thursday morning. So a live look outside, you can see a few flakes and flurries around the Minneapolis area, and you can expect to see more of these flurries as we head into the afternoon and early evening, but not much is going to be impacting roads, at least in the short term. Light snow overnight tonight. We might wake up to another dusting to up to a half an inch of snowfall. Frigid Wednesday and Thursday, but it's a fairly condensed cold wave. We'll talk more about a weekend warm-up in the forecast coming up, Alexis.
Ben, thank you. And right now, the suspect accused of shooting and killing Minnesota CEO Brian Thompson is in a Pennsylvania prison. 26-year-old Luigi Mangione was charged with murder overnight. And Cece, I know a lot of new details have come out in the past 24 hours. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so many new details. We're learning new information this afternoon about how Mangione's first night in prison went. The Pennsylvania Department of Corrections says he's being kept in isolation at a maximum custody level. And so far, there have been no incidents with any other inmates or officials, police are saying. In his initial court appearance, he didn't enter a plea. So right now he's being held without bail. This afternoon, authorities are trying to figure out a potential motive. They say the suspect expressed anti-corporate attitudes in a manifesto he was carrying when he was arrested. Here's what else authorities are learning about him.
He has ties to Maryland, he has ties to Hawaii, and ties to San Francisco, California. We know he attended college in Pennsylvania, and we know that he has no prior criminal history, not only in New York City, but in the country.
Mangione was arrested yesterday morning at a Pennsylvania McDonald's after an employee recognized him. During his arrest, police say they asked if he had been to New York recently, and officers noted he started to shake and presented them with a fake ID. Authorities say he was carrying what's called a ghost gun, which is an untraceable, self-assembled firearm that may have been 3D printed. Investigators are now working to see if ballistics and DNA evidence from a recovered backpack and other items will link them to Mangione.
So much new information. Cece, what are all of his charges?
Yeah, so court documents show Mangione's been charged with murder in New York and is facing 4 other charges, including 1 count of forging a document and criminally possessing a firearm. Now, in his initial court appearance, like I mentioned, he didn't enter a plea, so we'll see how that all plays out.
All right, Cece, thank you very much. And you know, since we learned the suspect's name, we've been searching for more information about who he is. Michelle Beck breaks down what we know so far.
We're learning Luigi Mangione comes from an influential family in Maryland, including a grandfather who was a successful real estate developer and a cousin who's a state legislator. The suspected killer is active on social media, and it lines up with what's confirmed about him. His last known address in Hawaii and his 2 degrees from UPenn. One photo also shows a spinal x-ray. A former roommate told CNN Mangione had surgery earlier this year, leaving him with screws in his body. Officials say a big look into a motivation and a mindset will come from that 3-page handwritten note expressing his disdain for the healthcare industry. While those pages have yet to be revealed, a former prep school classmate from Baltimore says these accusations come as a surprise. Mangione was apparently smart and social, nothing weird about him.
I can tell you that this is one of the last people you'd think would do something like this. He was one of the nicest kids, most friendly kids that I had known at Gilman.
Among his wide digital footprint, Mangione's also reviewed a book about the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski calling him an extreme political revolutionary. Investigators say they're also looking into all of his posts online. In the newsroom, Michelle Beck, KARE 11 News.
Michelle, thank you. And following the news of the arrest, United Healthcare released a statement thanking police. They say, quote, "Our hope is that the apprehension brings some relief to Brian's family, friends, colleagues, and the many others affected by this unspeakable tragedy." We'll be sure to cover the story as it continues to develop. Stick with us on air and online at KARE11.com and on our streaming platform, KARE 11 Plus. In less than an hour, the driver in September's deadly crash at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park will be back in court. Stephen Bailey has been at a sober living facility since October while his case moves forward. A judge agreed to the release with several conditions, including no driving or alcohol. Hennepin County attorneys say his blood alcohol level was 4 times the legal limit when he crashed into the restaurant patio. Park Tavern server Christina Folkerts and Methodist nurse Gabe Harvey were killed. 3 others were hospitalized. Well, right now, officials are meeting for day 2 of a 3-day National Public Safety Summit right here in Minneapolis. Hundreds of public safety officials from across the country are in town for the event, working together to reduce violence and crime rates. New data from the Minneapolis Crime Dashboard shows non-negligent homicides or willful killings are up 10% from last year. Despite this trend, experts say violent crimes are slowly going back down to pre-pandemic levels.
If we set a new normal, is the new normal a high crime rate? But that has been reassuring in that it has come back down more slowly than we would like. And it's jumping around a bit from month to month and weekend to weekend.
We reached out to the St. Paul Police Department and they tell us they are not participating in the Public Safety Summit this year, but are constantly working with law enforcement partners to address crime. They also tell us they are seeing a decrease in overall crime trends. Well, we have new details today on how the Biden administration is moving forward with a push for a ceasefire in Gaza. Multiple sources say that the White House is working with the incoming administration to reach a hostage deal in the Israel-Hamas war. A resolution would be a win for both the Biden administration and the Trump administration. Biden is hoping to finally reach a deal in his final weeks, and President-elect Donald Trump would also like to start his second term with the conflict in the past. Well, over in Syria, the country saw widespread celebrations after dictator Bashar al-Assad was forced from power. NBC's Richard Engel has a look at what comes next as people make their way to a prison to find missing relatives.
After the rapid fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime, Syrians are discovering the horrors of what happened in this country. I'm now on the outskirts of Damascus in one of the most notorious places in this entire country. At the top of this hill is the Saidnaya prison, and it was an execution facility. Thousands of political prisoners were taken here and executed in batches. The human rights group Amnesty International described this prison as a human slaughterhouse. When we were there, we saw nooses used to execute prisoners in batches, torture devices, including a human press where people were crushed in an agonizing form of torture. And the reason all these people are streaming up this hill to the prison itself is that they hope that perhaps there are still prisoners alive. We didn't see any prisoners inside, and we toured the facility quite extensively. But they're hoping that perhaps underground there are tunnels, there are hidden cells. Some of them, some people here have brought digging tools with them. There are a few pieces of heavy machinery looking underground, excavating, hoping to find survivors or even mass graves. Throughout the area, there are also documents, execution orders that were signed by the prison wardens, and there are page after page after page of names of people who were executed summarily. This is the reality of what happened under Bashar al-Assad's regime, and it is now only coming to light.
Well, right around dinner time tonight, the Minneapolis City Council is heading back to work on the city's budget. They could vote on a final version as soon as tonight. The council is now looking to slash a proposed property tax levy increase. Instead of 8.3%, the levy would be 6.9%. Council members say the cuts were made by reducing raises for the highest paid city employees, delaying technology upgrades, and data software purchases. Mayor Frey also introduced a proposal to cut the levy even further if the council agrees to withdraw a number of their 73 proposed amendments. And just 2 hours ago, Mayor Jacob Frey announced a nearly $18.5 million investment in affordable housing across the city. Now, it comes in the form of trust fund awards going toward 11 housing projects. It will help with new construction or facility updates. The Native American Community Clinic is one of the recipients planning to build new housing units.
We've got a couple of transportation updates for you. The first is for Metro Transit riders. New changes are now in effect for dozens of routes. The changes impact 37 different routes, including the Orange Line buses, which will now run more frequently between Burnsville and downtown Minneapolis. Metro Transit also restored service for Route 223, which runs between Maplewood Mall and Rosedale Center on weekdays. The change comes as Metro Transit increases its rider numbers, which tanked during the pandemic. And in about 6 hours, Sun Country will take their 17th flight to the North Pole from the Minneapolis airport. Take a look at this video from last year's event. Tonight, kids with Make-A-Wish Minnesota will write letters to Santa, board a plane, and be transported to Santa's workshop at another gate. Over the last 3 years, Sun Country committed to donating more than $700,000 to accommodating every Wish Kid's travels.